Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. I hereby call this meeting of Lake Erie Toastmasters Club 6440 to order. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones. I would like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Our club mission is to provide a supportive learning environment through which members feel empowered to become better public speakers by developing their competent communication and leadership skills. This morning, I would like to welcome our Toastmaster, Mr. Stephen Morgan.
In my stars I am above thee, but be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Okay, here's your cultural quiz for the morning. Where does that come from? Very good. Now, what more can you tell us?
It was really good.
It comes from Twelfth Night. Shakespeare's play Twelfth Night. The character is Malvolio.
I thought.
You'll discover at times it seems accidental somehow when particular people get thrust into the spotlight unexpectedly. Some of them crash and burn, some of them soar high. And at some point in your own life, that opportunity will no doubt come upon you as well. Might be just right now. After all, we do have a few changes to the agenda to make. The first one I'll point out, first speaker is Jean McCauley, and the speech information is correct. I just had the wrong name in there somehow. Stepping in for odd counter is Carrie Bird, and stepping in for timer, Bob Levy. Our table topics master is walking in right this second.
Thank you.
And therefore the rest of the agenda should be correct and everyone's actually here. On the holidays, we actually still have a few people showing up to the meeting, which is always fun. Then we'll ask our technical table to get us started with their jobs for the morning, beginning with our grammarian because he has something to tell us and you're going to need your pen to fill in that spot on the agenda. Ernst, please.
Good morning, fellow Toastmaster, Mr. Toastmaster.
Good morning, Mr.
As a grammarian, it is my function to select the word of the day to help build members' vocabularies. Good luck. Each member, when he called upon to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day. Other members may generally rap on the table when they hear the members say to use the word of the day. The word of the day is Eternize, E-T-E-R-N-I-Z-E. I'm sorry I forgot to bring it along, or even provide Stephen of the word of the day, so you need to write this down. Eternize, make eternal, to prolong, indefinitely, immortalize. The photograph eternizes the joy that Colin felt when he held his daughter in his arms for the first time. In addition, I will be listening for any errors in grammar, as well as excellent word selection. I also will be noting any colorful thoughts or phrases members might use. During the evaluation portion of the meeting, I will present my report, and after that, I will eternize this in the archives of Toastmasters International. It's my report.
Our odd counter, Carrie Bird.
Yay.
As odd counter, it is my function to listen for the use of filler words such as I, you know, so, okay, and other audible pauses as fillers. I will be noting if members perform any double clutches, which means to say things twice, such as this means, this means. Finally, I will also include things that might be distracting, such as substance. And I'll do my report.
Mention one other adjustment to the agenda. James, instead of the 8 to 10 minutes requested, you want to leave it at 8 to 10?
Yeah.
Okay, James wants more time after all.
I usually right over
All right, then our timer can explain his role for the morning. Bob.
Yes. Oh, okay. My function is to time the speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants to ensure they meet the timing requirements. I will demonstrate the timing lights will be displayed as follows. Green, yellow, and red. Well, everybody's got a different time frame. Oh, okay. Yes. Green, yellow, and red. Those are not colorblind.
Yes.
I needed the visual.
Is that it? And report the timing results.
Very festive colors. As terrorists seized control of 4 airplanes on September 11th, 2001, Ben Sliney, Chief of Air Traffic Control Operations at the Federal Aviation Administration's Command Center in Herndon, Virginia, gave the unprecedented order, not unprecedented, unprecedented order to ground 4,000 plus planes across the nation and redirect any in the sky to the nearest airport. It was his first day on the job.
Wow.
Never know when greatness will be thrust upon you.
My first day.
So welcome our first speaker this morning, Gene McCulley, speaking on religious intolerance.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters. We don't need guests. Okay. No? Yeah, we do. Yes, okay, yeah.
Soon to be a member.
Oh, very good. All right. So I spoke to you a few months ago about our First Amendment and the freedom of speech afforded to us, with some caveats. The First Amendment also states that we have freedom of religion. It is fundamental to the separation of church and state. In our culture, we are taught that that we should tolerate people with religions other than our own. That while the Puritans, who were the majority of the early colonists, practiced a form of Christianity, and the majority of the religious in the United States practice some form of Christianity, we should not discriminate against those who believe in something else. Our population is made up of Christians, Jews, Muslims, atheists, agnostics, and other kinds of believers. And we should all get along. I'd like to ask you a question. Please raise your hand if you believe that people should be tolerant and accepting of religions other than their own. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I noticed a couple of hands up you up. All right, all right. We got a discussion going on. Okay. There are many religions in the world. There are many factions within the major religions. There are religions that no longer exist in the minds of believers, having died out as they were supplanted by other religions. Religions are memes, and they evolve as other cultural forces influence them, just as they influence culture. Here in the United States, we've witnessed a rapid evolution recently, as religions grapple with the notions of gay marriage and women in the clergy. Churches have split over these issues, effectively forming new religions. Mesoamerican civilizations, such as the Maya, the Aztec, and the Zapotec, practiced human sacrifice, a ritual offering of nourishment to the gods. This is, most commonly, they decapitated or offered up the extracted hearts of prisoners of war to win favor with the gods. This is not something we tolerate in our modern religions. Those religions were largely eradicated in favor of Christianity when Europe discovered the New World. The Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, among others, tell a story about Abraham and his son Isaac, eternized in the book of Genesis. Details differ among the faiths to share the point that when Abraham was told that God demanded he sacrifice his son Isaac, Abraham complied. While human sacrifice may have been something expected before then, the adherents of these religions take comfort in knowing that their God does not expect that of them now. We would not tolerate our neighbors sacrificing their children because of a magical voice told them to. Sacrifice in the form of ritual slaughter, however, is still practiced. According to Jewish and Muslim law, slaughter is carried out with a single cut to the throat, rather than the more widespread method of stunning with a bolt into the head before slaughter. The animal must be alive when its throat is cut and die from loss of blood. Many people not of the Jewish and Muslim faiths consider this to be cruel, and some countries in Europe and elsewhere have outlawed such methods, considering them inhumane. This is behavior they cannot tolerate. In 2014, the nation of Denmark enacted a ban on ritual slaughter, putting their notion of animal rights and welfare ahead of religious freedom. They encountered backlash from the Muslim and Jewish communities. Proponents of the ban were accused of racism. Female genital mutilation is practiced in some regions of the world by Muslims and by Christians. There is some debate about whether this is a religious or a cultural tradition. Some factions consider it a religious requirement, some do not. Nevertheless, it's not something we tolerate here, no matter what kind of religion you believe in. Male circumcision, however, is not only widely practiced, but accepted. Imagine trying to explain the merits of circumcision of male infants to a culture that's never heard of it. It's possible there will be a future in which that might not be tolerated at all. By the way, if you decide to research genital mutilation, you can find that on Wikipedia, but just remember that some things once seen can't be unseen. Some religions expressly restrict the rights of women. They expect women to be submissive to their husbands, their fathers, their church, their community, and God. Some disallow women to own or inherit property. Some consider women to be a man's property. Expect some disagreement about how tolerable that is in the modern world. Similarly, some religions allow for marriage of children, especially arranged marriage. Most religions require that a woman have attained puberty before being allowed to marry, but not all share this constraint, preferring to bind women into wedlock before puberty. Some religions require that women be covered in a burqa, hijab, or headscarf. This falls into direct conflict with government requirements about identification photographs and dress codes for civil servants. Turkey has banned the headscarf since its founding as a secular state in 1924. The ban is part of Turkey's drive to remain secular and separate church and state in a region where 95% of the population is Muslim. They are caught between telling people what they can't wear and being overtaken by a religion that tells people what they must wear. Other countries have been acting and moving towards similar bans. In the end, it's impossible to be completely tolerant of all religions. Some religions require things that you may find unacceptable. Religions and cultures will change and evolve in order to coexist, or they will find themselves in opposition. We shouldn't allow some things just because they are part of someone's religion. And I'm here today to preach a little religious intolerance. We now live in a tightly connected world, and we have to be deliberate and thoughtful about what we tolerate. Thank you.
Mr. Timer, if you will give us 1 minute on the clock, everyone can use the informal evaluation forms to give Gene feedback on his speech. There's room up here.
Time.
On January 15th, 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 took off from LaGuardia Airport en route to Charlotte Douglas International Airport. You know the rest of this story? Multiple bird strikes caused both engines to fail. Pilots Captain Chesley Sullenberger and First Officer Jeffrey Skiles safely glided the plane to ditch in the Hudson River. All 155 passengers and crew survived, eternizing that incident in popular culture. And now to immortalize our next speaker. James has been trying to get it right for years. Patience finally wins out. It's a never-ending story. Please welcome James Harris with Under Construction.
There was a man named Joshua in South Florida who was arrested for selling whiskey. He went to court and the judge was trying to be friendly with him, said, "Are you the Joshua in the Bible that made the sun stand still?" He says, "No, I'm the Joshua in the woods that made the moon shine." Honesty always pays off. He let him off. And in all honesty, we are all under construction. We're not ready yet. We're all being built. And we have a mission to become something, to Eternize ourselves. And Toastmasters is a good way to do it. I have a tree in my front yard. And for the past few years, the bark on that tree has been slowly peeling off. A tree that's not growing is dying. Anything that's not growing is dying. If we are not growing, guess what? We're dying. It's a sad fact that, and we look at this for years at Lockheed, we count down the years that people would retire and how long they live after they retire. It's a proven fact that the average person, after they retire, draws 17 paychecks. This is based on them retiring at age 65. And one of the reasons is, after they retire, they have no mission. They have accomplished all their goals. I've done it, I've arrived, I've retired. This is what I had in mind for 40 years. So since you have no mission and no plan, and your body must clearly see that, hey, I've accomplished everything I need to accomplish. Kill them. So they die. We must have a mission to grow. We must have a goal to reach our highest potential. And to do as in nature, the caterpillar that metamorphosed to a butterfly. He starts out as a worm crawling on the ground, can barely make it. Then goes through this tremendous change. There's a story about this person who sees this caterpillar in his cocoon and makes an attempt. The caterpillar is trying to get out of the cocoon. It's fighting and it's struggling, you know, it's breaking pieces away. So they decide to help the caterpillar get out of the cocoon. So they break away some of the little pieces that's you know, it's holding it in there. And it gets out. The sad fact is that butterfly was handicapped all its life. It could barely fly. Because part of the growth process is the struggle. It's good for us to struggle and to work those muscles and to train. It's good for our customers that they be sold the next day. I mean, you've done your job. Preach it. So we are all under construction to become better. We have to remember that when the Creator made us, each one of us, He broke the mold. Thank God for that. Imagine having 2 or 3 of me. I mean, once enough. We are each very unique. And we need to be ourselves. Don't try to be anybody else. If you're short, don't want to be tall. If you're tall, don't want to be short. So forth. If you're black, don't want to be white. You're white, don't want to be black. I love who I am. And I'm getting better. Because I'm under construction. You know, our job is to, and we do that in Toastmasters to help each other get better. You know, instead you got a block missing, you know, on your house. You need to fix that. Like last week, I had my collar turn up, and my said, "You need to fix that collar. You need to pull that down, man." Hey, you did. Now you look all right. You know, that's some sad stories that people don't discover until it's like almost too late. There's a story about a man who all his life, even from a kid, he said, when I grow up, when I get married, then I'm going to be happy. Then later on, that's when I have children. Then I'm going to be happy. When I retire, I'm going to be happy. And then one sad day, on the way to the grave, he remembered, I forgot to be happy. I forgot that I was under construction. I should be getting better every day and enjoy it every single day. Don't waste time. We all are under construction to improve. Like the guy who says, you know, I'd be glad when my ship come in. He didn't send one out. If you don't send a ship out, it can't come in. You know, and as Toastmasters, our job is to, I believe, personally, we should be motivated to teach people how to fish. Old proverb, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach them how to fish, feed them for life. That's what we do. We get better, and we get better because we have a mission. We have a goal. We know who we are. We know that every single day our goal is to get a little better and a little better and a little better. And there's nowhere better than coming to Toastmasters where we all have a similar goal to reach an apex that's not only physical but spiritual. To have faith and to believe. They have peace of mind. And they know what love is. Those are all spiritual aspirations that we all have. And we can see the benefit from reaching those goals and reaching the goals of the Creator who had in mind for us to do certain things. So our mission is a wonderful mission, as long as we know what it is. We have to know that every day we need to grow. And that if we are not growing, we need to be honest with ourselves. That if we are not growing, we are dying on the vine. In fact, we may be dead on the vine already. Just haven't been picked yet. We must know that we must metamorphose. We're going through a change. And that failures are really not failures. But failures are stepping stones to success. I remember in high school, I was on the wrestling team, a little sporty guy. I did the weights after a while. But as a sophomore, I lost 10 matches in a row. The last match I lost was to a blind kid. It was like, now is the time to quit. But I realized, even at that age that I was going through a change, that the way to success is through failures, through falling down and getting up. That's part of the process of getting better and getting stronger. As a senior in high school, I can remember meeting opponents who would drop out of the tournament because they had to beat me in their match. That's just no lie. 1966, New York State, Mount Vernon High School was #1 in New York State in wrestling. We're all under construction. And being under construction, let's not forget our mission. Let's not forget our goal. Let's don't forget that we need to change, that we need to metamorphose every single day. And make that a daily check off on your list. What have I done today to complete my construction job, Mr. Toastmaster?
Mr. Timer, give us another minute so that we may all fill out our informal evaluation forms for James.
Time, pencils down.
Second pop quiz question. Who knows Stanislav Petrov? Stanislav Petrov is a name you should know, because without him, you'd all be dead. On September 1st, 1983, the Soviet military shot down a South Korean passenger jet that had strayed into Soviet airspace. Amongst those killed was a U.S. congressman. Less than 4 weeks later, September 26, 1983, Petrov was a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces on duty in his bunker near Moscow. And shortly after midnight, the bunker's computers reported an ICBM launched from the United States, heading towards the Soviet Union. Petrov, without any other data available, just assumed this was a computer error. Although policy in place was that he was supposed to notify his superiors and be prepared to launch the counterstrike on their command. Half an hour later, the computer detected 4 more missiles coming from the United States towards the Soviet Union. And Petrov decided again to just take on his opinion that it was a computer error. His idea simply was that if the United States was going to launch a first strike, they were going to launch hundreds of missiles to prevent a counterstrike. He did not notify his superiors a counterstrike was not authorized. There's a very good chance that had he notified his superiors, given the tensions of the time, a counterstrike would have been ordered. Afterwards, they discovered the false alarms were caused by a rare alignment of sunlight on high-altitude clouds and the satellite's orbits that were detecting the system. An error that was later corrected by cross-referencing a geostationary satellite. Stanislav Petrov is the reason that we're all still alive today. You may not know when you've done something important, but people may not ever know. That doesn't mean that you haven't found greatness nonetheless. Our next speaker needs no introduction, but he gave me one anyway. He will deliver a powerfully emotional speech from the Competent Communication Manual number 10, Inspire Your Audience project. He is speaking about the power of influence. Please welcome Mr. Mike Hughes.
For those of you who haven't had the pleasure of getting to know me yet, let me share something with you. I spent the last 16 years in the Army. In that time, I've been a paratrooper, a Green Beret, a 5-time combat veteran, a Bronze Star recipient, and I've attained the rank of Master Sergeant. I've completed my bachelor's degree, and I'm currently working on my master's. The reason I'm telling you all this is to Etonize the story which I'm about to tell you, and the power of influence that I had on someone else, and the same power that you can have for somebody. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I want to tell you a story about a girl I knew, and how my power of influence changed her life. I was hanging out with a buddy one day, or excuse me, a buddy of mine in the Army had a beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed daughter who was cocky, know-it-all, cheerleader. Ugh, you know what I mean? So one day I was over at his house, and his daughter was like, "I'm so hungry." She wanted me to take her to Panda Express, but she didn't have any money. So I says, looked at my buddy, I was like, whatever. All right. So I took her to Panda Express. From there, she purchased all the expensive things on the menu, of course, and didn't even say thank you. Still makes me mad. But I forgot about it, moved on, and just dubbed her as the Panda Express girl. Shortly thereafter, I moved to Florida. Lost touch with my buddy, but we were friends on Facebook, and his daughter and I were friends on Facebook. That was about it, so you can see pictures and updates every so often. Well, this last August, going through Facebook, saw her picture, and I was like, I wonder what she's been up to. I think I'll give her a call. What I wasn't ready for is a story that she shared with me. How she transitioned from a little girl into a woman. Her story began at 16 years of age when she graduated high school. From there, she joined the Navy. She was selected. After basic training, she was the first female in 5 years to go to Naval Special Warfare as a ground analyst. She was picked as the analyst for the Navy SEALs, something that doesn't happen very often. Because of her exceptional grades, good looks, and her physical ability, because on the physical test she was measured on the male scale. She was the youngest member in the unit by over 9 years, and the youngest member they've ever screened. Once in Naval Special Warfare, let's just say she worked for the overt side of SEAL Team 6. If you guys aren't familiar with that, think of the Bin Laden raid. She was the youngest Category 3 Human Intelligence Analyst at 19 years of age in the Navy, ever. She was one of 4 females that attended combat school, with over 50 other sailors and passed. Congress had recently approved the Females in Special Operations called Project Diane. Because of her ability, she was asked to participate in the BUDS Female Engagement Study. If you guys are familiar with BUDS, it's a prerequisite going into Navy SEALs. She had attended pre-BUDS prep course for 6 months. Oh, by the way, she had to do that before and after her regular intel job. This was a miserable time for her. Long runs in the sand, freezing cold water, and long, grueling workouts. I want you guys to think of G.I. Jane if you've ever seen the movie. That's what she was doing at 19 years of age. After completing the BUDS prep course, she was selected by an 06, which is the equivalent of an Army colonel, and he was the executive officer of SEAL Team 6 to attend BUDS. Somebody that high up selected her to attend Navy SEAL training. She realized how little experience she had, and so she volunteered for a deployment to the Middle East. She was a subject matter expert on ISIS. She was the only female analyst in the country at that time. Her job was to debrief and brief every special operator that came into and out of country, i.e. Army Rangers, Green Berets, and Navy SEALs. Upon her return home, she was assigned to a new unit where, because of her training and experience, she was selected to attend Category 2 interrogation school. After completing the course, she volunteered for her second deployment all within a year. She was assigned to Special Operations Command, Africa, in the country of Djibouti. Little did she know this mission would change her life forever. While in Djibouti, she was sexually assaulted and raped by another soldier in December of last year. 2 days later, she was unable to deal with what had happened and attempted suicide by taking pills. She was found unconscious the next day, stabilized, and medically evacuated to Longstuhl, Germany. The investigation by NCIS said there was not enough evidence to prosecute. She had only known the guy 4 days. He walked away unpunished. She returned to the United States 10 days later. Upon her return, she was transferred to a limited duty unit, where she was given antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication to help deal with what had happened. It was so bad she couldn't even go through a car wash without an anxiety attack. She couldn't even be around a group of males. So they declared her non-combat deployable in July of this last year, or excuse me, 2016. With this news, on the 4th of July, she had her second attempt at suicide by overdosing on the pills the doctors were giving her. Her medical retiree board was initiated a month later. Her top secret clearance was yanked by doctor's orders. She was dismissed from all formal duties. Her only requirement was to phone into her unit by 7 a.m. every day. She was only 22 years old. This is the point in life when I called to see how she was doing, see what she'd been up to. We spoke on the phone for over an hour, and I told her, keep going, I'm proud of you, stay with it. I wanted her to connect with me. So I shared with her a little story about my attempt at suicide when I was deployed. I told her I believed in her. I told her and I are both special operators. We're going to get through this as a team. My phone is always on. You can always call me. What was interesting is now she understood what a Green Beret was. That my time in the military, my deployments, she understood what I really was now. And I wasn't just her dad's army buddy. I have influenced her life. I wanted to be there for her, the same way I wish someone had been there for me, but I was alone. I told her I was proud of her. This is where I think it really sank in, because she said had she not been on the anxiety medication, she would have cried. She said that I was the first man to say it, that I was proud of her. A few days later, I called to check on her, see how she was holding up. She said because of our talk and my belief in her, she began applying to colleges. This let me break down in tears. She said having someone with my rank in Special Operations, Special Forces, to take the time to talk to her and believe in her, changed her outlook on life. I had no idea the impact I was going to have on her. I just thought I was being a friend. She applied to University of Colorado in Boulder, Colorado. Actually, University of Colorado University in Boulder, Colorado. And she asked if I would help her with her entrance letter. I said I'd be honored. A few weeks later, she sent me the letter for proofreading. I was blown away with her ability to write and connect with the reader. She said she was applying to the advanced pre-medical school, and her goal was to be an ER doctor for the work of the DOD, and I wept with pride. I have her entrance letter right here. I'd like to share it with you guys in a minute. I'm happy to report I spoke with her just 2 days ago, and yesterday. She told me she was accepted into college. She was going to move to Colorado in a few months, and she was going to live with her sister. Her dog, she's able to make a working dog, so it can go with her anywhere she goes. And she said how much better her life is doing. Again, I told her how proud I was of her. I tell you all this to let you know that you might just be that right person for someone else. Because you don't know the impact that your history, experience, influence, etc. would have for somebody. So in closing, I want to share with you a quote by Howard Thurman, who is an author, philosopher, theologian, educator, and civil rights leader, who says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who've come alive." Mr. Toastmaster. I'll hand this around. This is very exciting. Here, look.
Mr. Timer, give us one more minute. We'll have your feedback to my fans.
Okay.
Another name you should know is Leon Chalgas. Not because he'd done something great, but because he had done something awful. He happens to be a member of a small group of 4 people who have formed a typical act. He had lost his job during an economic panic and turned to anarchism and decided he was going to commit murder. But that story will have to wait for us to get a few table topics in first, at least a couple if we can fit them. Please welcome Samuel Bailey.
It's okay, keep it going. I know y'all need
there.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning. Alrighty. So we are answering the call to greatness. Such as many of these individuals, it was not something that they had expected. It was not something that you would expect for birds to fly into an engine, or for someone to give you a phone call, or whatever else that you may have to deal with. Describe a time in which you answered a call to greatness. Phyllis.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guest. We have one guest. My one time at greatness out in the public is when I applied for becoming a general magistrate. There was a need in our state because of the overwhelming influx of foreclosures that put almost a standstill to family law cases, to evictions, to criminal, even affecting the criminal courts, where our state legislature said, hey, we're going to throw some money at this and try to alleviate this problem and stop affecting all the rest of our court system. And I went ahead and applied and was selected to become a general magistrate for a short period of time to help with that overflow. I enjoyed it. It was definitely something I was not looking for. In fact, my statement to other people who asked me, well, when are you going to run for judge, was always never. Because as a judge in Florida, you have to eventually sit for criminal court, and that is not something I feel I could ever do. It's not my forte, not something I can handle. So my call to greatness was becoming a general magistrate. Thank you.
I'm going to let you decide. Would you like light or also another harder question? Because I only have time for one more. Hard? Okay. Nice. That was a beautiful answer, by the way. We are all under construction in one way or another. How are you still under construction, Devin?
I am still under construction. Well, if anyone was there for my introduction, well, remember that that is an ongoing process anyway. I'm working on going back to school. I think that's something in my near future. I have an inkling maybe for the military, so reserves is something along that path. And yeah, just continuing to keep sharp, keep informed, and keep involved in the community. It's an ongoing process. So, stay with that answer.
I know a guy.
Ever so slightly.
So has anyone finally remembered who Leon Chalgas was? Leon Chalgas is one of 4 people who have assassinated the President of the United States. In September 1901, he shot President McKinley at the Temple of Music, at the fair up at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. Suddenly thrust into the spotlight was his vice president, who had considered resigning because he was bored after 4 months on the job, but instead took on the office of president as the youngest person ever to serve in the office, Theodore Roosevelt. And he is one of the greatest that presidents has been measured over time. Please welcome our general evaluator for today, Stacy.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I would like to get the evaluation portion of the meeting. This is where fellow Toastmasters are able to evaluate each other and give both critical and positive feedback. So I would like to welcome our first evaluator, Barbara Welch.
Evaluating Jean. This is my first time being evaluator, so a little nervous. Jean, your topic was very applicable. Everybody could relate to what you were saying. I think that you researched the topic extremely well. It was very interesting. It made you, I think it made all of us think about the different cultures and the different religions. I think in America we go through and just go day to day through our own things. We don't really stop to think about everybody's different culture and what they really believe in. And so you made us really think about that and realize that we probably could not be tolerant if we have our own beliefs, because there's such a wide variety of beliefs. As far as your presentation is concerned, I think that you did a great job with your conclusion. I think you could have been a little bit more forceful in your beginning, and I'm sure that's probably because you're a little nervous, and I can relate to that. Also, having a little more eye contact. I've seen an improvement. I've seen 1 or 2 of your other speeches, and I think that you've improved. But I think there's a lot of us moving outside the podium, moving away from our security blanket would be helpful. But I enjoyed your conclusion. Thank you very much.
I'd like to welcome our second evaluator, Teryl McLean.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and James, thank you for the opportunity to evaluate you. I always enjoy hearing your speeches. I know you wanted me to be critical. I'll try, but that's not easy with you. Pretty good speaker, so You had 3 objectives. The topic or the challenge for this speech was to inspire your audience. You had 3 objectives. You were to connect with listeners' feelings, fears, or goals, explain these feelings, why these feelings, fears, or goals may be counterproductive, and then motivate and challenge listeners to adopt higher, nobler feelings and values and goals. So on the first objective, connect with listeners, I thought you did a great job immediately appealing to our desire to be the best person that we could be. You came right out of the gate with that. You also brought it back to Toastmasters and this organization to make it relatable for all of us, and I think that worked really effectively. You connected your speech directly with our goals because we're all probably in this club because we want to improve and to be better speakers and to be better people. The second objective, why the situation is changing or why our feelings might be counterproductive, you had a lot of really great visual words here, very powerful words. You countered our resistance, any resistance we might have, or any fears we might have with some of these very visual and visceral examples, or I guess anecdotes of why we should not be afraid to improve. You said part of the growth process is struggle. You said if you're not growing, you're dying. I think we can all probably agree that that's a powerful motivator for most of us. Then you had to motivate and challenge your listeners to adopt a different attitude or mindset. And I think you won us over right away with your sense of humor. You were a little self-deprecating, which I thought makes you very relatable and likable, makes it easier for us to relate to you. And you used some great examples when you said, broke the mold. Thank goodness, that's an example of your self-deprecation. You're talking about yourself. It was funny, and it made us able to relate to you. The motivator, I think, your most powerful motivator was you kept emphasizing before it's too late. It's too late to be happy on the way to the grave. That was one of the stories that you shared. It was an emotionally powerful, very dynamic speech. I think you are a very dynamic speaker. You used a lot of great visual examples. You talked about the tree dying and the bark falling off. Again, death, very powerful motivator for all of us. Your example, or the statistic you talked about, 17 paychecks, again, a great way for us to understand why it's important to keep one to improving. And then some of the sub-objectives, I guess, for your speech were the way that you said things. You were supposed to use language that unites listeners and establishes a bond. You did that by reminding us that we're all here at Toastmasters to learn. Use these vivid words, vivid examples or anecdotes and stories. You talked about the caterpillar, the fight and the struggle and breaking away the pieces. We could actually visualize that and relate. You talked about metamorphosis, used action verbs like fight, struggle, adapt, achieve. Used a lot of positive words. You were talking about failures, but you explained that failures are just stepping stones to success. You talked about evolving and striving. So lots of positive words. Your conclusion, I thought, was a little weak just because you came out of the gate really strong. You had us right away, funny, lots of great visual stories. So you started strong. I wanted you to leave us with more of a gut punch. But I thought overall you maintained a really powerful, dynamic, and inspirational tone to your speech throughout. And you accomplished all of the objectives that you were supposed to. And I think that you inspired us all along the way, so thank you.
So I would like to welcome our last evaluator of the day, Julia Kaufman.
Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. It's my pleasure to evaluate Mike. He's speaking from the Competent Communications Manual, project number 10, which is Inspire Your Audience. And that project is to eternize, motivate them, to inspire them to provide a message. And that you did. What a powerful message you provided. You spoke from the heart. You shared a very personal story. what I really liked in the beginning is that you gave us your credentials. You set the stage. You gave us the background story, which made your story harder, right? I've heard that story shared before. As a woman, you just ache for someone else. And the message you shared about how we don't know our impact with people. We befriend people, we love people, we share things with people, but we don't really think about influencing them. And what that means to that person. Wow, what a story, and what a lifesaver you are. So when you think about and doubt yourself and have thoughts about who you are, think back about how you influence people. So let's talk about your speech, a little bit of the mechanics of it, because you are a very good person. And you should speak more. You have stories to share, and you should be sharing them more. But here are some suggestions on how it can make a dramatic story even stronger. There's a couple of habits that you have, because I've heard you speak over, so I want to tell you those habits so that you're more aware of them. Because of your military background, you're very militant here. And I want to see you more emotionally showing, mix it up. That would be so powerful, a little mix of the military background, but with some real good drama. So you have a hand grasping that you do, and then you're a pacer. So move more with purpose. So think about, you know your message, you're very structured, organized, strong opening, amazing ending, but now match your body with that and move with purpose so that you can really express yourself more in a bigger way and more dramatic to really punch in that message that you want to share with people. You had your audience, the story that you shared, you could hear a pin dropped on that. Very well organized throughout, just use more drama, even on a story, and thank you for opening yourself and sharing your story.
All right, to keep this meeting moving, I would like to Etonize our technical playbook, starting with our all counter.
Stacy, 2 sows. Stephen, a sow and a double clutch. Jean, 2 ums, 1 sow, 2 double clutches, 6 lip smacks. James, 1 sow, 2 you knows, 8 double clutches. Mike, 2 ums, 1 like, 6 double clutches, and 3 times you cleared your throat. Sam, 1 sow. Barbara, 17 ums, 1 sow, 2 double clutches, 1 lip smack. Teryl, 5 ums, 2 sows, 3 lip smacks. Julia, 4 ums, 1 like. Devin, 3 ums, 1 sow, and 1 lip smack.
All right, so how do we do with our time today?
I'm rounding off. Jean was 5 minutes 35 seconds. James 9 minutes 55.43 seconds. Mike was 10 minutes 28 seconds. Phyllis 1 minute 17 seconds, and Devin was 28 seconds. Stacy, general evaluator, 19 seconds. Barbara on Jean was 1 minute 50 seconds. Teryl on James was 4 minutes 24 seconds. And Julia on Mike was 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Last but not least, but our grammarian Ernest.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Starting off with our Toastmaster Stephen, he used the word of today. The misuse of words was not identified. Even if it would be, unless the word was so blatant, I would not really figure it out. Instead of eternalize, Ethanize would say eternalize, like that. But anyways, Jean used the word of the day, and no misuse of the words again. He had some colorful languages like inhumane in regards to genital mutilation. One seen cannot be unseen. That was quite interesting. And then Mike Hughes, use of the word, not misuse of words, great speech, colorful words, called her called it Pantora Express. I told her I believed it. Very nice. Sam Bailey.
Aye.
Oops, I'm sorry. James Harris. Use of the word, no misuse of a word, and he used so many colorful sentences, I don't know where to stop. Such as, if you don't send the ship out, it cannot come back. We are all under construction. Anything that is not growing is dying, except your belly. When you grow, it dies. You're done. No mission after retirement. That's good. That's why I'm not retired, besides many other reasons. Part of the growing process is to struggle. I will certainly tell this to all my team members. The way to success is through failure. Very good, thank you. Table topic, Sam Bailey, he did not use the word today. Okay. Phyllis, no word today, no misused words. Devin, no word today. Stacy, you did use the word today. No misuse. Barbara Welch, no word today. And Terry McLean, no word of today, but she used some colorful words. Visual words was one of the things to use, and self-deprecating. Very good. Julia Kaufman, you did use the word of today, and no misuse of the English language. This is my report, but
Business is going to be given by Phyllis Harley.
Starting out with it, wasn't that great? So Lori, that was a practice on. Lori and Macarena are not here, so I'm giving presentation. We have no business unless, okay, am I about to lose something?
Next week's schedule.
Next week's schedule, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So roles, we've got Sergeant Farm Stacy, first speaker Devin. Speaking next week. Competent manual 3, get to the point.
I need to move that.
Need to move that, so there's a spot available. Anybody want it? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's okay, there's 2 spots.
Oh, well, there's 2 spots. All right, so we'll have Rich and Dr. Bucky. Stacy, you're number 2. So you guys just have to arm wrestle over who's first and third. Rich? Well,
No speech together.
Oh, you're just going to speak together. Okay, we'll see how that goes. I am Table Topics Master. Okay, and Lori's General Evaluator, and then we need evaluators. We have no evaluators set up. Is that correct?
Am I already on the schedule?
No, you are odd counter.
I'm on counter.
Grammarian. Julia, we have you as grammarian, so we'll need a grammarian. And Carrie, we have you as timer. Who's the Toastmaster? Toastmaster.
You still need that too.
Yeah, we need a Toastmaster. There we go. And our guest today is, I want to say Carol, did I remember it correctly, Bob?
Lynn.
Huh? Lynn. I asked him this the last meeting and I totally messed up your name as well. Lynn, welcome again. Would you like to say a few words about the meeting?
Well, as always,
you know the procedures.
I know the procedure, then you're not Madam Toastmaster, but always interesting and really was very touched by your speech and loved the colorful words in your speech, and I am planning on joining.
Who's your sponsor?
Huh?
Who's your sponsor?
The handsome man with the gray.
Oh,